Good evening. Hey, how's everyone doing today?
Doing good.
Hey, anybody's first time here at City Hall? Ooh. Hey, just so you know, you can vote here. You can drop off your ballot in the lobby. So in case you want to come on down, do that. You can renew your business license. You can talk to a lot of our techs and staff at the counter. So if you haven't been by the City Hall, welcome here this evening. It's a great place. We do a lot of your business. We have a library, an amphitheater. We got the police department, got the senior center. So if you're newer to Murrieta or haven't been around here, come on down. We miss the public after COVID. A lot of people they're just looking online, but we miss people. So if you ever have a chance to do business with the city, please understand we're always open here for you. I'm Jarrett Ramaya. I'm the Deputy Director of Development Services, and I'm the one that sent you guys the notice to come on out. I'm joined here tonight by Nolan. He's our Code Enforcement Manager. We also have Lieutenant Henry Ramos. He's with our PD. I got Carl Steele, our city planner, and then we have a lot of support staff. Also, I got my director here in the audience, so really happy. I'm going to go through a PowerPoint presentation to kind of put on the table the safety issues that we've identified. I just want to frame it that there's a cumulative impact. So I'm not going to try to out any specific business. I think we just all want to come together and understand how can we improve upon things. And so I've heard from a number of you as business owners, very impressed that you're doing a lot of hard work and doing a good job of it. Probably the folks that aren't doing a good job are not here tonight, which is not a surprise to me. But after I do the presentation, we'll go to speaker time. And so if you haven't filled out a speaker slip, we have someone in the foyer. I can go grab one for you if you haven't done it. If you could give that to Tanya Wells, that would be really, really great. At the end, we'll call for speakers. We want to hear your voices. And then if we have some time globally, we'll do a Q&A session. But tonight, friendly discussion. Just want to inform you the things that we've been observing for the last few years. Code enforcement has been reaching out to certain businesses, and we're going to try to work with them. I think tonight I just want to put on the floor what I've seen in the last 6 months, and just get it out there. But any questions before we begin? All right, so again, my back will be to you. I'm just going to go through a PowerPoint slide, try not to bore you. When we come to speakers, though, Tanya will announce them in order, and then you'll come where I'm standing. It'll probably be best if we present to all y'all. You don't have to hit a button. Just walk up here, and you're good to go. So I'm going to do the PowerPoint, and then we'll go to speakers. Is that good? Great. Well, thank you again for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. All right, so my back will be to you. Terrible. All right, so we're in the Automall area. So in shaded blue, we have business park zoning. And within the red line, you'll see a lot of the yellow dots. These are the businesses that we've mailed a notice to, and a lot of you have received this notice. So just wanted to let you know that it's a business park location. We have a lot of great uses that we're proud that it's going on in the area. So I just want to let you know that the folks that we're talking to tonight are within the red line. Now, we're going to focus on certain use types. We have new and used vehicle sales, vehicle repair and maintenance, vehicle and equipment rentals, and then we have also auto, truck, RV, and motorcycles. Namely, that's what you guys are working on. You know, we're really proud. This is a list of the businesses that are in the area. Again, a very diverse base of businesses, right? Anyone want to give a shout out to their company here? I thought I saw Fix Auto in the audience, BMW. Who else we got here?
Bodyworks Cleveland Center.
All right.
Black Safety.
All right.
Smackley Valley Import.
AMA Auto Repair Specialist.
Great. So again, all of you are hardworking folks. A lot of you are family-oriented, smaller businesses or larger, medium businesses, but really proud to show that we have a lot of great businesses in the area. So I just want to give kudos to y'all. I'm going to break this presentation tonight into two buckets. The first I'll discuss is repair and maintenance of motor vehicles, and then we're going to go to the car sales, car rentals and sales. So let's just focus on the businesses that are in this type of venue. You know, with a approval of a business license, and if you have to do some tenant improvements, basically these are the permitted uses in a business park area. So again, auto part sales, repair and maintenance of motor vehicles. the typical bread and butter that we're seeing in most of these businesses. So again, you don't need a fancy extra permit, but you do need a business license and you need inspections per building and fire to open up. So I just want to let you know that there's two categories. Some of you are permitted through an easier process. Some of you in a different category have to go through a conditional use permit process. Now, in our development code, that's our Bible, if you will. That's what planners go to for definitions and direction. It is acknowledged already in our development code that auto repair does have a lot of vehicles, right? And we should almost expect that there's times where things will get a little bit out of hand. And I'm going to walk you through the specific things I focused on, but it says if care is taken to mitigate negative characteristics. So again, tonight's about putting stuff on the table and figuring out how do we autocorrect what we're seeing here. And just want to let you know that when we say that things have to be off street, it means it's not on the street. And so we do have a lot of public roads in the area. When we talk about off street, that means on a private property. So just want to clarify that term. All right. So Sandalwood Court, one of my favorites. On a daily basis, if I go out there, I'm going to see a number of vehicles that are in various states of repair. Mainly, this is a business that I think we're focusing on bumpers, right, and small stuff. But the lower left-hand picture, if you will, you wouldn't know it, but that business has one of the most beautiful landscaped corners in the city. And I rarely can see it because it's clouded by cars that are in repair. So I just want to let you know, like, when I see something that says do not open, should that be on the public street? Just the other day, I went by the same area. This is typically what you will see on a daily basis. So I was out there just the other day, and here's the thing that says drive slow. Well, yeah, there's no headlights on it. So, okay, this is what we're dealing with. So again, this is a public street, and it should not be seeing these types of vehicles that are in various states of repair. Now, I've lived in San Francisco, so there are places where you will find bumper to bumper, right? But in this town, those really are cars being repaired. That's the same street, these two long photos, they're right next to each other, and almost on a daily basis, if I go out there, that's literally how they are parked. And so I can tell you with the fact that none of those cars are related to a customer trying to buy a vehicle or drop something off. These are vehicles that are waiting to be repaired. The photo in the upper right hand is interesting because we have a truck behind it that's offloading, and we have a truck that's carrying vehicles driving through. You can see how the nature of this area, you're starting to see safety issues like sight distance. And so I think that's another thing that I found is that we have a lot of unloading, offloading, but we don't have any loading facilities on private property, which is required. Here's another business. This is actually, this business is on a corner, and this is the same driveway from two vantage points. The reason I put this up here is that there are times where your employees or your customers may have an incident or a heart attack, and we need to get our EMTs and fire trucks in there. This is not a location that we can easily access, and so when we reduce response time, we increase issues for people that should be in the hospital or on the way. So I just want to say that look at the types of vehicles and look at where they're being placed. Most of them are in red zones, and that can't facilitate an emergency response. So that's why when we say public safety, we are looking out for your employees and the public that sometimes have slip and fall or heart attacks, and they need a response under 6 minutes. And if a fire truck or an EMT can't get there in 6 minutes, that's another issue. When I can find vehicles that aren't parked everywhere, this is what you see underneath them. So when you see oil stains at this magnitude, that means consistently parking vehicles over and over and over that are in a state of disrepair. These are very large oil slicks. And if you didn't know it, cities get in trouble with the State Regional Water Quality Control Board if we're not keeping our streets clean. These oil deposits go directly into our storm drains. And so again, normal cars wouldn't have this type of impact, but when you're dealing with cars that have issues, this is what's happening to our asset, our city asset. This is our public asset that we've built and paid for, and it's being impacted by, unfortunately, storage of vehicles that are in disrepair. This is one of my favorite photos. This is an area that you typically could park about 6 or 7 cars. This truck was here for quite a while. We have to think about, well, if people aren't able to park near businesses and complement them, where do they go? And I have found people that have been circling around the block over and over, frustrated that they can't find a public parking space. And our development code, again, that's what planners follow. I want to underscore that public safety is tantamount. When we have very, very large vehicles that actually are not consistent with vehicle code, you're not supposed to be parking that type of vehicle on the street. When you do that, you make it very difficult for people to see and drive around them. And that's why I think you're seeing a lot of, a lot of businesses have shared with me that their employees are running across streets trying to dodge people because of this type of situation. So again, this is a pretty big vehicle. The vehicle in the back, I think, is owned by one of the businesses in the area. So that's just a normal customer or owner vehicle. But I think we also have to stand back and say, as we're servicing different types of trucks, RVs, vans, diesel trucks, and other things, we want to be careful with the public right-of-way. All right, let's go to vehicle rentals and sales. Because again, we have a lot of good stuff that's going on in the area, and we have a mixture of different business types here. So if you're going to be selling cars in our city, you'll have to go through a conditional use permit process. That's a very formal permit process that we do look at on-site parking. We look at landscaping, the structure. We want to make sure that you can accommodate your customers, your employees on your property. And so these are formal use permits that have either been approved by a director or a planning commission at the city of Murrieta. The important thing is that staff have to make findings to support these projects. So when the initial use permit came through us and we evaluated it, we had to make findings for the development code. And there are some findings here that over time we feel that, oh, that project may not be consistent with its use permit because they're either having parking issues or other safety issues, which is incongruent with the approval of the original project. So I just want to stay on that point that health and safety, the public's general welfare, is something very important to staff because we put a lot of thought and we made findings usually at a public hearing to underscore that that project would be safe in perpetuity. What we're finding, though, is this is an example of double parking next to a red curb and actually having a car, if you can see way down the end of the photo, waiting for maintenance. My fire marshal and I walked around this building. This is not a site that we can lose our fire lane, but as you can see, we do have a situation where if we need to get there in 6 minutes or less, that's just not going to happen with the type of apparatus that we have. So this is a significant issue because they're actually making it very unsafe for all of the businesses in this development. So blocking a fire lane is not allowed under any circumstance for any use at any time. These folks told me it was temporary. There's nothing temporary when I stop by almost every day and see the same thing. Here's another one. These guys are in the sales and rental business. I don't know of any city that allows 4 deep of cars. They've taken over their front yard setback, which is supposed to be plants, and they've taken over an entire street of ours. So these are folks I'm working with, but as you can see, they basically have turned the city street into a parking sales lot or storage lot, and it looks pretty hideous. Here's another business that they were parking the front yard setback. They were cutting through onto the sidewalk. I think they broke their own water line, so that's why you see water in there. But the interesting thing about this was that car in the red almost got hit by this car because the driver was at an obtuse angle and didn't see that person, and it literally was almost a collision at that point. So, you know, using an unpermitted driveway access area can cause your employees to get into a vehicular accident or cause harm and injury to a member of the public. And so I saw that just standing there, And that photo will always stand out to me as that's just not how we should be operating. Literally, I turned around and I was looking for the driver in this unattended delivery truck. Couldn't find him for 20 minutes. I found out later he's going to the bathroom in one of the businesses next door. While I was standing there, though, vehicles are trying to go around this thing, and it was also causing a lot of issues. Again, seems small and minor, but when you're standing there observing things, you can see how easily a pedestrian or a driver could be harmed with this type of operation. The issue is that although this business has room on site, they don't load and unload on site. They choose to use the street for convenience. You know, you can walk around any day of the week and find the vehicles on our public street with information that tells us these are going to be processed and sold. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's going on in this area here. This is interesting. So not sure what this gentleman is doing. I couldn't find him, but there was a generator in the back of that truck that was on. It was on for a few days, and I'm not going to assume that someone's in that RV. But as you guys get customers that might have to wait for a part or something else like that, I think we're seeing other interesting things develop in this area. So I have seen this for the last 3 weeks parked out there. It seems to move once in a while, but the generator caught me off guard because it seemed like, is someone actually in there in the street? And how long are they there? So again, we want to be careful with the safety aspect of what's going on in our neighborhood. All right. What I have found and what I've been really impressed upon is many, many good businesses are flourishing in Murrieta, especially on the south side of our town. What I'd like to do as a product of tonight is work with all the businesses in the area so that we can pair up our resources. Some businesses in the area actually have extra parking. If one business has a lack of parking and you have extra, there could be a shared parking agreement that we can work together on. So I'm trying to figure out, are there some positive solutions that we can work together that will keep your businesses moving forward and return our streets to a safety thing. We're going to also do a couple things. Been working with our traffic division and our director in code enforcement and PD. There might be a way for us to allocate new parking spaces on the streets. We may have to use angled parking. And one thing that we are going to be doing also is to stripe the spaces so that they're smaller and that we'll say no parking beyond the marked spaces, because one of the major safety issues I've found is that we have a significant number of buses, RVs, and diesel trucks that should not be parked per vehicular code on city streets. They're too big, and our streets were never designed to accommodate those types of vehicles. And again, I think all the folks that are sitting in the audience tonight are the good folks. For those, though, that we can't seem to find common ground on, the next steps will be, we will continue to issue violation letters, and we'll commence with fine structures. For those that have a conditional use permit that are violating it, we'll take you forward to Planning Commission with a request to revoke your permit. For those that simply have permits through a business license, we'll revoke those. And we'll have to enforce the street parking through the City of Murrieta Police Department. I don't want to do any of these things because that costs the city more money to regulate what I think is what businesses can do best, is fix their own problems. But I want to tell you that I, as a staff person, I'm very interested in finding common ground. All the people that I've talked with on the phone are sharp business people. They have solutions on their own accord. I think what we're going to want to do is focus on the folks that need a little bit more attention, and that's going to conclude my comments tonight. What we're going to do next is go to our speakers, and then after that, we'll see if there's a way for us to maybe answer some high-level questions. But really appreciate everyone coming out tonight. I hope what I shared was clear. If not, let me clarify any information that I've done so far. So with that, Tanya, if there are speakers that we can call up, I think it'd be really, really nice to hear the independent voices of the community.
So we have Boris.
Hi, I'm Boris from BMW in Murrieta. You know, just thinking about it, I mean, I think we all need to work together because it's hard enough to make a living, right? Whether it's big business or small business. And, for us, we have 130 employees just at BMW. And, sometimes when there's no parking at night, we have girls leaving at night, walking down the street in the dark. So it's kind of a safety issue, as well as I think it looks like crap, when you see a bunch of auto body shop cars or old cars. And I know you got to put your cars somewhere. And it seems like we could come up, I think the angled parking spots on Date Street would be good. We'd fit a lot more cars, easier to park. But we have those 2 empty lots, those grass fields right there. I mean, why can't we utilize one of those just for parking their cars? It seems like, we could just, first of all, it needs to be mowed down, but if we threw some gravel down and maybe, then the businesses with extra cars could utilize those. I rent a lot down the street for our cars, but that's all I have to say. And I think if we work together, a solution would be find a place to park all these cars, and that night, there shouldn't be any cars on the street. It should be for people to park during the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's just what I think. But it seems like we have enough space to, with those 2 lots, I don't see any business going in there in the near future.
No, thank you, Boris. I might have Scott come up at the end and maybe share some of that. Thank you.
Next, we have John with Fix Auto, Temecula.
Good afternoon, John from Temecula Auto Body, doing business as Fix Auto, Temecula. We have 3 commercial buildings that we own and occupy, 2 of them on Nick Lane, and I'm a little upset and I'm a little concerned that we didn't have any Nick Lane photos up there. Sandalwood is a problem. We occupy a building on Sandalwood, however, no employees are there, nor do we do customer vehicles there. We do pull them in and out, but everything's done from Nick Lane. There is no parking on Sandalwood. So, and like you said, with that gentleman on the corner, I'd be upset because he has some beautiful landscaping. And the first time I seen it was tonight on the way here. You get there at 6 o'clock in the morning, you can't see it. Sandalwood's a problem. Nick Lane, I think we do very good. There's 3 competitive auto body shops there. And we do pretty good on Nick Lane because we utilize a dirt lot across the street. We have 26 employees. We don't park any customers on the street. Some of our employees park on the street. But it is difficult because we have 28 parking spots. So we do have to utilize the street and the dirt lot. Nothing gets left out on the dirt lot overnight. No damaged cars. All the damaged cars are inside at all times. But I would say a Nick Lane is a very short street. And there's probably 60 plus employees, like Boris has a ton of employees. So that, that's the only thing I'm concerned about. I think we handle ourselves really good on Nick Lane, all 3 of us. And like I said, we're very competitive, all 3 of us. But that's all I have to say, and I want to thank you very much.
Thank you, John, and I'll close with some comments on Nick Lane. There was a separate item I'll bring up on that one.
Sheridan.
I'll pass for now.
Matt King.
Hello, I'm Matt from Temecula Valley Import in the same building as Mr. Bill's. I'm probably by far the smallest business here. I have myself, my wife, and I have one guy that works with me. Just with you're talking about like the parking on the street, like all those Teslas and stuff. It's very difficult times like getting parts, just having grace. Imagine if you smash your car up and we can't get parts for 3 weeks. Do you want us to tow it back to your house, and who pays for the tow? So that's kind of why it's a disaster during the daytime. At nighttime though, it's a different story. There's a lot of cars where I'm on the corner of Madison and Date Street where Mr. Bill's Sterling Auto Sport is. None of those cars ever move over there. So that's, the no parking overnight would solve a lot of issues, because I'm sure all you guys over there in Nick Street are noticing too, all the homeless are going from Adams Street and they're walking right on down to the other side. I saw some people taking barbecues over there last week, so they're ushering over there because there's cars always around, and so it's easy to be homeless when there's cars always around. If there's just strictly no street parking ever, you just drive through, cops can ticket them easily, tow them away, whatever. Tow truck drivers love to make some extra money on these cars parked overnight. The wrecking yards love to make some extra money off that. I have 1,200 square feet and 3 parking spaces. It is very difficult to make a living with 3 parking spaces, like when I'm waiting 2 days for an alternator, or what you can't make money on oil changes. It's the long-term stuff. So I appreciate this meeting. It is definitely a bad spot that you guys are in, trying to figure out how to handle this situation. So thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Matt. Thank you.
We have no more speaker slips.
You know, one thing that I found was on the topic of employees, one gentleman told me he had, I think, 32 during any day. That's impossible to park your employees. I think there's a point where we're going to focus on the vehicles that are under repair, but I think there has to be some slack for the employees just because some of your businesses are pretty busy, right? And those are good jobs to have. But on the question about like Nick Lane and the gentleman that just spoke, Matt, there may be some off-site solutions, and I want to maybe get some feedback after this meeting was, if the city was aware of off-site vehicle storage facilities, would you be able to charge your client a premium to have those stored if the price was right? Because again, I hear you loud and clear. I've heard that from my mechanic. Jarrett, you're gonna have to wait 2 weeks for that part. I understand. But for that to be on our public street, I want to see, would there be a way for us to work together to find an off-site solution? I know that there's some businesses leasing space north of Nick Lane, putting them in chain link fencing. We have a development code that doesn't allow us to park on unimproved surfaces, so we just want to get ahead of that. But I do know that we need to find a place, because if you have a 1,200 square foot business with 3 spaces, you're done, right? That's you and your employees really parking there or not. I do want to find some slack. There might be some soon to be open vehicle storage facilities that are not really close by, but are drivable. And so I think as a follow-up, I do want to find common ground that if we can identify locations to park these cars for a week or two, would that be amenable? I know it has to be safe. That's your customer's car. They freak out, but the status quo for today, I think we're going to have to address that. Yeah, but I do like that comment though.
I think I agree 100% with you. I think our biggest problem, and this has been seen from city to city, is when you have dealerships and a lot of wholesalers and car repair shops, if you go to Ontario all the way down to Riverside, you can go right to Inez where all those dealerships are. They have no overnight parking on the streets. What I've seen is most, and I agree with him, and what we've observed by being there for so many years, is these cars don't move. They sit there overnight and they rot there. They're used for, I'm not singling anybody out, but they're used for commercial wholesale companies that have inventory, and then they're used for whatever. But how do we go about not making those streets no overnight parking? And then how do we go about enforcing them? I think that would solve 90% of this problem.
Agreed. Understood.
No overnight parking.
This guy has 130 employees he's trying to park, and if those cars are rotting there day in and day out, he doesn't have space for his employees to come to work.
It looks like crap.
That's why dealerships don't have any
Yeah.
overnight parking at all. Like, as far as you can go, as far as the arms can reach.
And we have those 2 lots right there. Why can't we utilize one of those?
Yeah. 1 second on that one, Boris. But currently our signs say that you can't park at night if you're over 10,000 pounds. That's a problem, because even the 10,000 pound vehicles are parked overnight. This lovely state, since during COVID, we've made a lot of changes to our parking code at the state level, in addition to homelessness and housing requirements, right? So currently the development code allows you to park no more than 72 hours, which I know people are violating that. So part of our strategy will be, how do we change the parking signs in the area? One strategy that I looked at City of Carlsbad was they had a lot of RVs that were coming on Thursday nights to take advantage of the nice beach area. So they would park on a back street because it was just no man's land. Well, they figured out how to do a normal parking space and put the lines on it so they had to fit within the space. That's another way to exclude larger vehicles. That would be one abstract. But I do have to work with state law and then ultimately the police department to make changes to the signage to do what we can to prevent long-term parking. If we can get to no overnight, and that's consistent with state law, we'll look at that. But I agree with you, we have to restrict.
That would be great, because
Yeah.
wholesalers wouldn't be able to park their inventory. They would have to leave the area. They wouldn't have an area to put their vehicles. People that use those streets overnight would have to take their inventory somewhere else. So it would free up a lot of space for us. And I think that's one of our biggest issues. And I don't know how all the other dealership malls have done it, but go there. Be my guest. There's no overnight parking. You drive through those auto malls and there's no overnight parking. And they enforce them. There's no cars at night. So that got rid of all the riffraff off those streets, and it's just used for public use. And I see that in every picture. I see that issue. I know that there's some where, you know, you have associations or complexes that are abusing that. That's something that I think those business complexes can address within. Like, that's when you get the businesses working together saying, hey, this guy's a problem, and then you can help out with that. But I think one of our biggest things like this, you know, it's if they didn't have the ability to stay overnight or their cars would be towed, the streets would be cleaned. They would have to move their business or find a place to put that inventory. And then that will clear up a lot of the mess that we're dealing with. I think right there is something that's kind of binding us. So how could the city, or how could we help the city make that come to fruition?
That's something I'm looking into on behalf of planning. That's something I've been looking at the last couple of months. Very interested in that. I think we have a good idea. Restriping and changing the signage should help with that. Because it really is the 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. crowd. We're not around as city staff, so we'll look into that.
Because there's so that's Enterprise, that's all their cars there, the car rental place. And so like you can make the argument, if you have that many cars and no place to park them, you've outrun your building, you need a bigger place. Like that's just the only way to handle that. So how does that work with like street sweepers? You know, like how do you ticket them for that and get them out of there? Like there's, about 2 months ago, people came through and put notes on all the windshields of all the cars that were there over the weekend with no date of towing, and nobody signed it. It's like there's no authority to act. Like, why would we listen if nobody's following through? The threats are made, we're gonna tow your car. They're still there. This looks just like this right now. I guarantee if you drive right there, they're triple stacked into the dirt still. Like it's no overnight parking will solve all our issues, or just start citing for street sweeping. You have to move these things at least once a week. And the cars that don't run would get towed to the customer's home, because we've been storing your car for 6 years, man, the city's on my ass, we need you to come pick your car up now, or it's gonna get towed to the local lot and you're gonna lose it. That's what it is cars that don't run anymore. They live in an HOA, they can't have their car there, we'll leave it there and we'll figure it out in a week, and it's been 3 years now and they're still sitting there. So if you restripe it, like that would be cool for the people that work there, that would be great. We'd have more like day-to-day parking. But there's nobody over there after 5 o'clock. Like, there should be zero parking on the street after 5 o'clock.
Absolutely.
Put all those cars in the dirt then. Like, that'd be fine. I don't care if they're in the dirt. Like, whatever, live your best life. But, like, on the street, with all the homelessness that's showing up out there now, the Calico Birds getting stolen off these cars in the parking lot. Like, I mean, I call code enforcement. They never show up. So, it's one of those deals where, or if they do show up, nothing changes. They talk to them, and then the cars are still in the red. They're talking about the ones that are in the fire department one. That's my building right there. And it's like, I call whenever they're there, and I have worked out with half of the businesses there. If you go by now, there's cones lining the whole thing, so nobody parks in that first picture you showed with like the big diesel van, and then there was like that bus there. That's all cleared out daily now, because my shop is right there in the corner. The other side though, it's a disaster. Tow truck drivers can't get in over there, so they're coming through my side, blocking my business out to deliver to the other side of the building, because they're not responsible enough to follow through and just follow the rules. So like with the threats and not following through, the people that aren't here will not listen. You've already tried.
Yeah, but, well,
There's a car that's sitting outside for 6 months.
No, you guys, so, let me remind you what I started with, though. Hang on. Let me take back the floor here. Hang on, you guys. My PD and my code enforcement aren't built for this stuff. There has to be the businesses that respect what the permits have been issued. After this, there will be some more hammers to drop. But again, the city I serve we want to be business friendly. We don't want to put you guys out of work. We don't want to threaten your staff. We don't want to harm you. We want to work with you. Yeah, we want to work with you. This is easy button stuff. We can figure this out. But again, a lot of the bad behaviors are not in this room tonight. So again, I'm hearing from the businesses that are feeling it. They're seeing it. And everything you've said is accurate. After this meeting, if we don't get cooperation. As I said, there's hammers to drop, but my PD and code enforcement have a lot on their plate, and I'd rather have them focus on the true issues in our city, not so much the, you know, the businesses that can't seem to figure it out.
I mean, like, that's what they're left behind though. Like, we not paying enough taxes for it. Like, why choose other code enforcement issues over ours?
Well, again, we're not choosing. We're bringing this to the attention of the businesses in the community. Businesses have always told me they can fix their own problems, so I'll take them up on that word. If they don't want to play ball, I've already walked you guys through how there are hammers, taking forward revocations, citing. But again, we'll do all this work in 2 years, the same stuff's going to pop up. So I want to make sure that we have a communication that works and that we're listening to each other. And I could use you guys' help. You know, it sounds like you guys have already knocked on a lot of the doors to the businesses next to you. You've tried to get some help. Some have helped you, some haven't. And again, but this is real spit. I'm not playing around after this. I really want to see the 5 or 6 businesses that I've identified as the major bad actors. I'm going to be sitting down with them with a new emphasis, and we'll take it from there. But for you all, I think where I want to hear is, do you guys have extra spaces on your property to do shared parking agreements? Do you have other things that you think that might help 1 or 2 businesses? Because if you have a 1,200 square foot business and 3 spaces, is there another business that might be able to help you with a secured location?
It looks like that, no. And the issue is, like, truly, like, my specific situation is that, like, a lot of the cars on the street are owned by the same person, and he can't put them at his house, so he just leaves them there. And he owns a business in Monroe. I can't do much about that. Like, he's got more spaces in the property, he's got more money than I do. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't fight this man, I just do what I can. It seems like everybody here is the people that follow the rules, and we're the ones being punished for it, though. The people that don't care with all, like, the notes on the windows, but no follow through, like, they're not here. So why would they be here? There's no threat. It's all bark and no bite. We would like you to bite these people and get these cars fixed for us. Just get them out of the street.
Can I jump in here? And this is a simple, obvious statement. I'm a building owner, so I'm not a business like these guys are. I took a picture of one of the slides. You put it up on the screen, right? The vast majority of the businesses that we're talking about fall under the CUP, and you guys go through a Herculean effort, an expense to get those guys approved. And there seems to be zero, like less than zero enforcement going on. And you've got it here in the 4th paragraph on the slide where you talk about what does it create in the area? Noise, traffic, other conditions, or situations that may not be objectionable or detrimental to others in the area, right? That whole paragraph. Apply that paragraph, and this is solved. So whether it's the parking overnight, whether it's the slanted parking, but it's this stuff that you've got people that they signed extra, like we all get business licenses, right? Like we all have to go apply and get a business license and say, we're gonna do these things and we're gonna do it in the confines of the law as it's laid out. They have to go extra and prove that they're gonna do this. And in most of these cases, it's not like they're, whoops, sorry, I parked an extra car on the street. It's, whoops, I got 100 cars that I walk around with a fob because I can't find the cars anymore because I don't know where I parked them. Yeah. So it's not like we missed it a little bit. And you know, like the enterprise people, it's not like they got 5 extra cars there, right? I mean, we're looking at the picture. There's 50 cars in the picture right here.
And they're parked consistently overnight.
On the dirt, which you guys I know have major heartburn over the park on the dirt part. So are we not gonna park on the dirt? Because, you know, here you're asking us for dirt lots. I don't know, I look out to 2 big lots across from Boris's place. I know somebody else owns them, but the city does not want people parking on the dirt.
You're not supposed to.
So I mean, we gotta asphalt it, we gotta develop it at some level, and that all costs a lot of money. And again, I come back to the 4th paragraph. Just enforce the stuff that these people signed off on.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that, of course, I see he's gonna do that. But I still go back to the point of, what are the hurdles that the city has to go through to get overnight parking around there? Like all the dealership malls have. That is one of the biggest issues, is they're parked around the clock.
Yeah.
You would have slanted parking
24/7.
But
365
overnight parking
days.
won't cure Sandalwood. Right now, Sandalwood's empty. You go there, I get to the office at 6 o'clock in the morning.
They put them
There's
all in
not
the
one
back.
parking spot.
Yeah, they put them all back. Yeah.
It happened there, like,
Yeah.
they take care of it, now, like, it sucks, it's a bummer, like, it is a beautiful landscape, but, like, you know, like, how it's
But that
easy
would
to
be-
bumpers and stuff, like,
Yeah,
do you want
exactly.
customer tows at home, like, that's sort of the nature, it can't be in their driveway.
Hey, we'll jump in and allow some other folks. I think,
I just have,
George, hang on, the gentleman in the back. Yeah. No, go ahead, sir.
I have 4 buildings on Mass. I've been there since the early 90s. And I agree with everybody here. But could we start at least with, is parking on the corner? Every corner, Sandalwood, Pear Street, all the way down, you can't see, it's waiting for an accident. And you can't pull in and out of the streets because you can't see anything. There'll be a diesel truck or a motor home, you gotta crawl out, meanwhile, you know, you're already, if anybody's not paying attention, there's gonna be an accident there.
No, I was thinking that we need to red curb those corners because it is obtuse how vehicles are parking. Yeah.
Because it's dangerous, real dangerous.
The streets are gonna get worse because they know they can get away with it,
George?
you know?
I think we have a problem during the day too. We see a lot of body shops parking cars, ripped off, no bumpers, no parts on it, especially on Dave and Hoppy, on where the street we mentioned too. I think when he doesn't find the parking, so like I said, overnight we're not solved not having cars with no parts on. You know what I mean? So every time I drive, I get off the freeway, I get to Dead Street, I see a lot of cars with no bumpers.
Yeah.
You know, we sell a lot of
You can
luxury
enforce
cars.
that.
And
You can have
BMW is
those
there,
cars
so a lot of luxury cars. Imagine a customer drive by, car on the left, car on the right, has no bumpers, no lights, no doors, no nothing. You know, this looks ugly.
Oh,
We know we make
yeah.
mistakes, we park extra cars on the street, I do. If you go right now to the street, you're not gonna see the cars because we cleaned everything up the past 2 weeks. We have no cars, you can do any cars you find there on the street because it's not ours anymore. But having cars doing the day parts has no license plates because the license plate is still attached to the bumper, that's still at the body shop, but the car.
Those vehicles should be towed, correct?
You know, it's not public parking, it's business use too. So.
Yeah, we are finding a lot of vehicles without license plates or registration evidence. That is,
Those legally can be towed.
well, it's a definition of the vehicle code at the state level, but there's a lot of problems because when you can't identify, that's why another one with the angled parking will expose the front and the back of the car because when cars are flushed together, you can't even see the license plate. You can't confirm it's an operable vehicle either, so.
But, you know, Best Buy doesn't put washers and dryers in parking spots. And you know, if we're selling cars or fixing cars, they need to be, you know, contained.
Yeah, yeah,
Need to be
yeah.
contained. I mean, they still could be street legal, but if the, you know, with the license plate on, that's good, but if the fenders are off it, it looks like ass, you know,
Well,
it's not good for look for the
Again, we're all agreeing on the same thing. None of those cars should be on the street, right? We all agree? Okay, so, but that is, number one, what the city's gonna have to follow up on. Yeah.
So we all agree that it shouldn't be on the street, but angled parking is still allowed on the street.
Well, that's gonna be for employees and customers. Yeah,
Those are customers' cars.
not those cars.
The Tesla
What-
car?
Well, when,
We're talking
no,
about the bumper car.
no, I meant like a customer dropping off their mom to rent a car, right? Not the customer's car that's being fixed. That's the problem.
But how can you tell the difference?
Well, I just showed you the photos.
Well, yeah, I know, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's so clear, it's so blatant. I mean,
Yeah.
all day long, I see big diesel trucks. I see a lot of cars with missing bumpers and tires. I see for sale with the grease pen on it. It's so clear as day. I think the homelessness issue is something I'm identifying. There's a lot of people that are living in vehicles in the area now. That's part of a more societal issue, but we got to stay on top of that. So there are a multitude of problems. Sir, will you? Sorry.
Okay, so I'm in the corner for the Enterprises in Bay and Madison. I've been there from 2011. That problem with the parking, like you're saying, and everybody's saying, it happened probably 7 years ago. The problem with the Enterprise is a house to park because those guys that park cars there, they park cars all the way, and they all the way to the dealership.
Yeah, the sign.
And then
Yeah.
when it's a holiday, you're not gonna find nothing, Sandalwood, Day, nothing. And then also we have a lot of car dealers, used car dealers. All the cars they're parking outside.
Yeah.
We don't have space. I had to put my car inside a parking lot of the business because there's nothing to park. and I have 3 employees. But the last 7 years is getting worse, especially if you turn left in Sandalwood to go to Pearl. You have to be really careful to turn in that corner because you don't see nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we have identified the 5 or 6 businesses that are the major issue here. That's what we're going to be focusing on. Again, I wanted to have tonight's workshop to hear and understand a little bit more than what I learned today. But I think the next steps are pretty serious. What I don't want to do is send a mixed message to you all that we're not happy with your businesses. I would say that there's a process, though. For us to revoke a business license or use permit, someone might get an attorney. There's a due process involved. It's not so easy to just go to a hearing and revoke a permit. The planning commission might say, staff, do more to help this business. So it's not so cookie cutter. I want to take a smarter approach. I'm willing to do that for those that completely ignore us, but I want to find common ground because some businesses get in over their head, right? We've all been there in life where we need some help. A lot of experts in this room have figured out how to moderate their rotation, right? On the screen is someone that's basically using our city streets as a storage facility until they sell the car. It's a distribution network, right? That's crass. That's not what we're signing up for. But if it's a small businesses where they have a couple of cars on the street and they need some help, let's help them without taking away their permits. Because again, a lot of you are family members and you have employees. I really love the fact that we have a job creation zone. That means a lot to me because it's hard to find jobs these days for real people. These are good jobs. They pay well. They're part of our fabric. So at the same time that I want to be business friendly, if people aren't going to work with us, then we are willing to take the next steps. I know that's been a slow roll. That's fair. But tonight is very important to me because I think we're seeing and hearing from the businesses that have made a lot of sacrifices to get where they are today. I want to acknowledge that to you all. But again, let's work together to see how do we focus on the remainder, folks, because there's not really a one-stop solution to all of this. I think we're going to have to take a multi-pronged approach here. But I really would like to work with all of you all in the next couple of months because it's going to get a little dicey with certain businesses.
I don't think anybody wants to see even the 5 businesses, which I don't even know who they are. We don't want to see anyone reduce their license. We just want to fix the problem. And the problem is get the cars off the street. And all we have to do is find a place to put them. And there's places around we can put them.
And Boris, we have a development code criteria that doesn't allow us to use unpaved areas.
We paved it, even if we had to chip in a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean,
put gravel down or something, we could do that.
I love it, because that's what we need to do.
Right.
Yeah, we need to find places to store this stuff in a secured manner, because we got tweakers and other people that will rip off those vehicles. So I know that for you guys to take trust that your customer's vehicle is not getting broken into, we got to make sure it's a very secured site. And we do have a few of those coming online in the city. George?
Can you explain to the audience how long it took us to get that storage facility approved, to start on it?
When an applicant hires the right people and works with us, it's about 6 to 9 months process. When they fight us and do all that, it can take a couple of years. But there is a quicker way to do things. It's not easy to get a permit on land. It is a process. We have to jump through a lot of state and federal laws to do that. But I'm willing always to help sit down with the right customer and walk them through the process and see if that's something that they can do. I do have some ideas. I've identified certain locations where we might be able to store your cars at the fee of that owner. But it's not going to take care of all of the vehicles, because I think we have a couple of hundred vehicles that ultimately would need some help here. But if each business has like 3 to 10 vehicles, there might be some smaller localized solutions. Because if you look at an aerial, you do see a lot of space in the rear yards behind fences of some of these businesses in the business park area. So maybe it's near to and farther solutions that we can focus on. Nick Lane is a unique location. I don't mind what I see out there. I think some people are taking some initiative in trying to find storage that's out of sight, out of mind. But let's find something that's a little bit more secure and doesn't add to the homeless situation in that back area. How are you guys doing?
Good.
All right.
You got a hard job.
I don't do anything. I push paper. You guys You guys actually fix stuff, so. But no, I'm here on behalf of the city. Again, it's not that we don't want to act upon these people. We have to be really careful and respect these businesses for who they are. I really appreciate meeting all of you all tonight. I've left my business card. I would like to speak with each and every one of you in the next weeks and months. I am going to be sitting down with those 5 to 6 businesses that I'll allow nameless. We're going to have some hard chats and see if they can step up to the table and help us fix their problem along the way. But for all you all, I appreciate if I have sent you a letter, and if you have any concerns about that, let's talk. I needed to get some attention, and that did work. I think I got a lot of the good folks here in this room tonight. But yeah, I really appreciate what you guys have shared with us. And again, government sometimes is glacial, right? We're not able to act quickly. But on this one, I think I have a really good handle on the issues, and I know who I need to talk to next. And I'll be following up on this one. So you could put my face on this issue for now, and I'll be more than happy to take this to the finish line. So it's going to take through January, February, March to see some action. So please don't think that before the holidays you're going to see some amazing thing. We have a schedule. We're going to follow it. And again, this is going to be some tough meetings with some certain businesses that hopefully we come out of it with some common ground. And I'll show them this recorded video just to remind them that there's a lot of businesses that do share the concerns of the city, right? You guys are working hard. You pay your taxes. You do the right thing. And you just expect that your customers can have a good day when they come visit your shop. So any other final comments from anyone here? All right. Well, again, thank you for coming down to City Hall on a Thursday night. Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, it's fun.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.